So, today I want to talk about a particular RDA. It's the Twisted Messes. And, well, to get a good look at it, you know, it's pretty standard, looks pretty normal, but it's got a few interesting little things about it that I gotta love. I mean, there's a, and I mean, the first thing, it's silly. For any for any person that does not consider vaping to be like a status statement or, you know, vaporizer and RDA to be an accessory, it's pointless. It serves no purpose. It has no bearing on how this device functions. It's not like I could I could even understand if they had different airflow options with these that would make this thing a million times better, or worse if you thought of it to be more of a, like I said, accessory, fashion statement, whatever. But this is the simplest thing about them, or about this particular one, and that's namely it comes with three separate collars. These two in the black I carry on. Damn it, doesn't matter. In the black I have on it, and pretty much I got blue and chrome, or stainless or whatever. But and they all have that fancy little M, this, that, and the other. But that's something I haven't seen before, really. And you can actually get them in multiple sets of colors if you really wanted one. I mean, if it was that important to you. I mean, it's not important, but it does set this thing out a little bit. But anyways, the important part about this is actually how it vapes. And in order to talk a bit more about how it vapes, we need to talk about how this thing freaking works. And truth be told, that's about the same as any RDA on the market. And I just took it off the device completely. Whoops. Oh well, that doesn't matter. Pretty much, it has a design that I've seen it a lot. Pretty much three post design, but your middle positive post has two separate holes. But the big thing with this is these are about 2.5mm holes. I mean, heck, these things are about as big as the airflow on a lot of devices I actually have, like this guy that I don't really use very much. But I mean, that air hole right there, that's about the size of just the post holes on this. So what does that mean? Why do I care so much? Why is that important? That is important because you can effectively take this stuff, about 22 gauge Canthal, and you can actually twist this with 2 or 3 or however many and stick it in there no problem. Or you can, you know, twist this 22 with some 26, 24, whatever. You can make unusually large clapping coils. I mean, going back to this guy, this thing, literally, you just take a screw and you clamp it down. There's no post holes, there's no nothing. You wrap it around the positive post and it's a weird freak of how things work. But this guy uses a velocity type deck. Come on. There we go. This guy uses a velocity deck, as you know, if you've seen my other review, you know. I mean, it still works wonderfully, but it can't really hold a candle to, you know, this guy. Now, that being said, I can't talk enough about how much I love this thing, frankly. But, you know, and just the fact that it's so darn easy to build in. I look at this thing, I hadn't thought of it previously, but I mean, I can put easily, I could probably shove 4 coils onto that. 4 with no problem. I'd say 8 if I wanted to get creative. And granted, they'd have to be really high-ohm individual coils, because, you know, you're dividing by 8, blah, blah, blah. But the possibility's there. And it sounds really freaking awesome, to be honest. You know, I mean, heck, just with this, I mean, look at that. There's not much else, but I mean, that's an open air environment. Okay, we're going to actually, because I am so impressed with the airflow on this thing, we're going to close it up as much as possible. And I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't like a mutation where you got, even if you close it all the way up, you got bottom airflow. No, but I can close it up to, you can see there are three, actually this one would be a better one to show it on. There are three holes like this. There's that, and then there is the one, geez. There we go, yeah, one that goes straight through that would be technically considered dual coil mode. But I mean, even with minimal airflow, and you know, that is still really good. And I'm sorry my camera's out, but seriously, it's so thick with vapor and shit in here that me showing you them things, my camera's focus is going all over the place. But one other thing I absolutely love about this RDA is, rather than coming with one of this guy's or a Phillips counterpart, I mean, not this one, I have my own for identification reasons really, but it comes from one of these guys, and darn, I gotta get up in your face again, sorry, but there. And the reason I love these, and it works so well on this, you can clamp it down, and you know for a fact these aren't going to come off on you when you heat them up and manipulate them a bit. And truth be told, you can get a lot more pressure on it with an Allen key like this than you would with a screwdriver, which normally I would say never do, just because I've clipped wires before. But once again, I am using a wire like this 22 gauge, or yeah, this stuff. Then it takes a lot of pressure to clamp this stuff. I mean, a lot more than I'm gonna get with this. I'm gonna start stripping heads on these screws before I ever get in there. I mean, that's another real thing. Once again, it comes to reasonable. I mean, how much is reasonable pressure? But that much being put taken aside. I mean, the other really big reason I love this is, love this particular one, is because this is a 4mm juice well. You can hold a lot of juice in that. I mean, you can wad it in with cotton, what have you, but that is a lot. And so, I mean, I can say here, I can take a trip to, about half an hour away, which I do frequently. I just did that this morning, just to test it. And I effectively made it most of the trip without having to drip again. I mean, maybe part of that's, I don't vape much in the car, dangerous, vision problems, blah, blah, blah. But that is, the fact that I can even do that is amazing. I mean, granted, once again, I could do it with this guy over here, but, I was running into other stuff, and one thing, this guy actually does allow you to essentially, not immerse your coil, but if you build it up, you can fill it a lot because it just seals so darn good. And I mean, this thing seals very well as well. I mean, if you don't overfill it, there's not a lot you can do to spill juice out of this. And that takes me back to, and just like I said, the vapor production on this thing's amazing and a half. I mean, like just about, I'd say I would have said all other RDAs, but I mean, that guy doesn't come with a big bore, and I actually got a fishbone here. It doesn't come with a 510, but it does actually. There, and that's limiting airflow as much as possible. So I mean, that's a real thing. But it does have a couple little drawbacks that I can't in good faith mention. The first one being, and I'm sure there is a fix for it, I just don't know. It's where I don't want to go through all the trouble. And that would be, this cap's metal. They got a nice little gasket there, seal, whatever. So the only problem with that is you can't switch it out. And one thing with builds with this, I find myself habitually getting extremely low resistance, which means I gotta run high wattage. I mean, Christ, right now I'm running them. I'm overdoing it, but I'm running a .12 at the neighborhood of 100 watts. This thing gets hotter than hell, and there's no. And honestly, I don't believe any of them passive, air fin cooling, whatever things like I've seen on some RDAs. I don't believe they work. Now, that being said, this thing, like I said, it gets hotter than hell really quick. So I mean, it once again they say it's competition. I don't know, but it's what they would use. I would imagine that would be one of the best purposes for it. Then, if that's the case, they assume you've worked, and you can ignore the heat for a little bit. I mean, honestly, if I'm not constantly, on it all the time, then it's not an issue. If I'm taking the time to, take a few hits, set it down, that it suddenly becomes not an issue. But there is something I feel I should mention, just because, I've gotten burned on it a couple times. More often than not, it's when I'm getting really, really stupid and using, oh goodness, this big old thing. And I mean, but if, I mean, with as good as this thing is, for me anyways, then I think I can live with it. And I mean, if if someone were to come up to me and say, hey, I need, I want an RDA, I got, I don't know, however much to spend on. I mean, you can get this thing. I picked it up for $60. You can get it other places for more, other places for less. Guy, like just about any device out there anymore, there's enough clones of this thing. You could probably pick it up for $5 at like GearBest or something. But if it functions identically to this, I mean, this is just my outlook. If something like this, if it functions identically, who cares? Get a clone. It's not a big deal. And once again, if it functions identical, and frankly, this is one of the best devices I've had and used in a long time when it comes to RDA space. I actually have a tank or two I want to talk about, or I have one now. I'm picking one up on Wednesday of this week. It will be like March 2nd or something. But I do have that option. And, well, the one I've actually messed with for about a week or so. So I'm actually going to put something out on that probably next week or the week after. But so that's just my thoughts on Twist and Messes. I mean, generally good, minor drawbacks, and I am talking like the minorest of the minor. So, I'll catch you guys next time.